made Long Island very proud tonight. Of course, Antonio Carlo Jr. had a 3-round war and, delivered like he always does. Fan favorite without a doubt. So congratulations, unbelievable fight. And then, of course, Martin Hamlet. He was throughout this entire week. He's been splashed all over the media in Norway, and everybody was real proud. He made his country proud tonight, and it sets up unbelievable championship matchups on October 27th. So we're going to get into that a little bit more detail. But some of the recaps, this ends our playoffs, and it's really been something special for the Professional Fighters League, and of course our partner ESPN and Seminole Hard Rock. It's proven why the PFL has the greatest fighters in the world. We have the greatest format. We have a true season format. Every fight counts. Every fight matters. And our athletes bring the best every time they step into our cage because of that season format, and it's all up to them. And the championship is going to show that. It's the greatest night in mixed martial arts. We crowned 6 world champions, $6 million prizes. And it means everything. It's one of the greatest titles in sports. To recap some of what happened in these past playoffs, you saw Kayla Harrison deliver once again and really show why she's considered the greatest fighter out there today, pound for pound. And she should be on every pound for pound list that there is. There's no question she's the best out there. And she has a very game opponent when she steps back into the cage. And I know all eyes will be on her. We also have to take a look at Ray Cooper, the third, the greatest fighter to ever come out of Hawaii. And there's a long lineage of fighters out of Hawaii. But Ray Cooper is one of the greats, one of the greatest welterweights out there, if not the greatest. But he definitely has a very tough opponent. And he's going to be looking to seek revenge when it comes to the championship on October 27th against Magomed Karamov. So that's going to be a fight that I know everybody's really looking to zoom in on and take a look at, because it's going to be a 3-round war, I'm sure. And then for our featherweights, of course, we had Movlid Khaybulaev deliver once again, and he had Khabib in his thoughts, I know, today, and really came out and did what he does consistently. But he has, a very, very tough opponent in Chris Wade, so that's going to be something that I know people around the world are going to be looking forward to. And for this season and our playoffs, it has been the strongest ratings on ESPN. Our ratings have been absolutely astronomical. Not only are we on ESPN Linear, we're on ESPN Plus because of the unbelievable content that we have, the unbelievable athletes that we have. So we simulcast all of our events. Our ratings have truly, truly been astronomical, and it's a testament to the PFL and where we've come and where we're going, because the reality is we're just getting started. To follow that up, our social media metrics have been astronomical in every respect. I mean, anytime you go online, whether it be TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, etc., social media is blowing up for PFL content. So that's really been an awesome strong point that's come out of the playoffs in the regular season, and I'm sure it's going to carry into the championship. Some of the things we've rolled out for the playoffs and the regular season, in addition to strike speed, we've rolled out kick speed. We introduced the ghost cam, so you get the greatest angles in mixed martial arts, where you're going right through the cage and getting unbelievable angles, and it's bringing the fans closer and closer to the action, and that's something very unique with the PFL. We have the best production in this sport, and in sports, we're really making a name for ourselves with our use of technology and all the things that we have going on there. So that's been a really exciting moment for our organization. And I just want to, of course, give a shout out to all of our sponsors. We keep, growing and getting the biggest and best blue chip sponsors out there. But of course, carparts.com, one of the best, Columbia Care, Geico, Marines, and Air Force Reserve. So we've really seen a tremendous uptick in our sponsors, and we're really excited to bring them aboard, of course, for our championship on October 27th. And I'll just say this before I turn it over. October 27th will be the biggest night in mixed martial arts right here in South Florida, the world-class Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. 6 world championships, the greatest fighters in the world, $6 million prizes, but most important, you get to call yourself a champion if you win. And that title is one of the greatest titles in all of sports. So we're really looking forward to being back. We want to thank the media, of course, has come out in a huge, huge way. We've been all over the globe. We're broadcast in 165 countries. We're getting coverage from all over the world, and of course, right here in South Florida. So October 27th, I'll say one last thing, and that's the return of the GWOAT. She'll be headlining on October 27th. So really looking forward to that. And with that, I want to hand it over to one of the greatest to ever do it, a tremendous legend in the cage and outside of the cage, the president of fighter operations, none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Ray Sefo.
Thank you, and the crowd goes wild. Just kidding. Well, first of all, thank you to everybody that tuned in tonight. Thank you to the media that's here today. Much appreciate you guys. Lawrence mentioned a few of the fighters that's going to be in the championship round. Another great night of fights, and of course, it's the last playoff fights. And now we have all our 6, or should I say 12 finalists that will be in the finals. So the 155 division, 155 division for men will be Roush Manfield versus Loic Rasubov. Welterweights is Ray Cooper versus Magomed Kidimov. The women's lightweight is Kayla Harrison versus Taylor Cuidado. Men's heavyweight, Bruno Capoloza versus Ante Delir. And of course, tonight, our light heavyweight finalist is Antonio Carlos Jr., which fought a great fight tonight. And of course, Martin Hamlet, who just made Norway proud. And then our featherweight, last but not least, Chris Wade versus Movlid Khaybulaev. I mean, all these guys fought well tonight. I think it's going to be an amazing finals. And like Lawrence said, it's the biggest night of MMA in terms of championships. 6 world titles, $6 million on the line. And if you haven't got your tickets yet, yes, the tickets are on sale. You'll find it. It's Ticketmaster.com. So get your tickets. And for those who won't be joining us, obviously, make sure you tune in on Fight Night, October 27th, and enjoy the championship, the PFL Championship that night. With that, I'll hand it over for questions. Thank you.
Darnell Giovanni, Mystic Black here. First of all, congratulations to the victors tonight. Chris, I want to start with you. When I saw you here on Wednesday, you weren't too emotional before the fight, but as soon as you got that victory tonight, all the emotions came out. Was that because everything Bubba said before the fight?
Yeah, he's one of the more flamboyant fighters that we've seen in the PFL, and he kind of turned a lot of the interviews that I had throughout the lead up to the fight into a personal thing, and I was just genuinely being confident in myself and trying to answer the questions as best I could. So when he said in the presser before that he was going to knock my head off and, come across the cage and punch me right in the mouth, I decided, for my daughter, when I left for this fight, I sat in the car with her and we got teared up, and I promised her that I would win this fight, and there was no stopping me.
Just to add to that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but when I talked to Chris, before finalizing who the roster is going to be, Chris says to me, I promise you, if you give me this opportunity, I'm going to win that championship. And so far, he's proving everything right. And so it's going to be a great night of fights for sure, come October 27th.
And Chris, now you have Movlid in the final. Do you feel like it's going to be the same kind of, grappler versus grappler matchup?
Well, first of all, I have a ton of respect for Movlid and the entire Dagestani fighting team and just everyone that comes out of there. If you've heard me give interviews before, they are some of the toughest people that walk the face of the earth. So I know that it's going to take everything that I have, but I'm prepared to give everything that I have.
And for Antonio, there wasn't a crowd here, but you had a lot of supporters here. Did that feel like one of the biggest fights you've had ever since your UFC days?
Yeah, definitely, man. Was a really tough fight. I knew that's what I would fight in a fight against Sordi. I know how tough he is, how hard he punched. So yeah, it was great. Having the support. I live here in Florida, training at American Top Team, so I have a lot of friends here. Giving the sports and the energy was just great.
And for Marcin, unfortunately, the fight ended with an injury to Cesar. Were you satisfied with that victory? Did you wish it could have happened a different way?
Yeah, of course. To finish a fight with when the guy is not injured is the best thing, of course. But as I said, it feels like this is my destiny to reach this final. It is my destiny to win this $1 million and the championship belt.
And last one for Movlid. Brendan caught you in that last round. What did you feel it took you to get past that? You had to dig deep and take him down again.
Мовлид, вопрос вам. В последнем раунде Брэндон вас достал немножко, зацепил. Как-то это отразилось на вашем решении, как провести и закончить третий раунд?
Да, я пропустил, почувствовал, но чтобы сказать, что-то она изменила, ничего такого не было. Здесь все работа шла по плану, все контролировал, все видел, дистанцию чувствовал. Брэндон хорошо двигается на ногах, к нему подобраться что-то тяжело было.
Yeah, that was the one that I missed. I felt it pretty seriously. But again, everything was done according to the plan. I didn't change my game according to what happened. He's light on his feet, and so am I. Again, we just had to, one had to win, and, it's me.
Hey, it's Breeze with the MMA Breeze. My first question is for Chris Wade. Chris, you and Bubba at the last press conference talked about when good wrestlers face each other, the wrestling usually gets negated and we see a lot of striking. Tonight, we saw a lot of grappling. How satisfied are you with the level of grappling you displayed tonight, and did you anticipate that much grappling to happen?
I honestly did, because respect to him, after the fight, he was nothing but a gentleman, and he did say that it was going to turn into a striking bout, but I knew that when it came down to it, he was going to be the same old Bubba and force the takedowns, because that's what he knows and that's what he's been so successful with. So my team and I, Ryan LaFleur, Greg DePasquale, Keith Trimble, we prepared for that. We've had guys just doing exactly what he tried to do to me in the cage for 2 months now, and we were ready to do that for 15 minutes, and I knew that he wouldn't be. And those were the truths that I spoke before the fight that he didn't like, but it was fact.
Thank you. And next question for Antonio Carlos Jr. Today, you had a lot of support in the house. Brazil showed out for you, and they were supporting you and screaming and cheering you along the whole way. How much did it mean for you to have their support tonight on your way en route to the finals?
Yeah, a lot, man. Giving the energy that I need, was really great to hear everybody rooting for me, There is a lot of Brazilians here in Florida. That's why I moved here. I feel like I'm in Brazil. It's just great, man. I hope to have everybody here in the finals too.
Thank you. And next question for Movlid. Your default picture on Instagram is with Abdul Nurmagomedov, Khabib's father. How much of an influence has he been on your career and getting you to this point?
Мовлид, вопрос вам. На вашем инстаграме у вас фотография стоит в профайле с Абдулманепом. Насколько важно его присутствие в вашей жизни профессиональной, и то есть чему вы от него хорошему научились?
Все спорте, чему я научился все от него. Весь этот его арсенал и опыт. Помимо спорта, воспитания, дисциплины, он в первую очередь больше внимания уделял на дисциплину, общекомандную дисциплину. Для него важно всего было.
I can easily say that the biggest part, if not the whole, my career depended on him being in my life. He was a great coach. He was great when it comes to discipline, to morale, and in general, he was just an honorable person. So I want to carry that legacy, and yes, I'm obviously very thankful that he happened to be in my life.
Jim Barcelone, Miami Herald. Antonio, there was a lot of respect between you, the fighters, in your fight tonight, very much so. How did you feel about your opponent? And also, how did you feel the fight went? Did you think it was a close fight, or did you think you were dominant in your fight?
Yeah, I always respectful with my opponents, you know, and Sordi, we actually trained a little bit like 6 years ago in Brazil when I used to train at Nova União. And I think it was a really great fight, you know. I didn't expect less than that. I knew how tough he is, you know. He's a former champion. And I knew I wouldn't find anything easy. I think it was like pretty back and forth, but I think I won the rounds pretty well.
Thank you. And Chris, for you, I was curious because you went in there and you did what you wanted to do. Are you able to share with us what you said? Because your emotions really were in there right at the end of the fight, and you were just standing over him, and it looked like you were saying something to him. And I just wondered if you were able to share that with us.
I told him that I'm a bad man.
Thank you. And lastly, for Ray, were you able to talk to Cesar afterwards? And is there any update even at this point of how he's doing or what might have happened with his leg?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't until after he had been taken away that I found out from one of my staff that apparently there was an injury throughout camp, and he did have therapy throughout, and he said that he was fine, and obviously he was medically cleared to fight. But you know, it's one of these things when you're in camp and you're kind of babying that injury, but when you're in here, it's 100 miles an hour, and of course, he thought that it was okay, and I think he's torn his hamstring from his knee upwards, I believe. So yeah, obviously we saw, you know, what happened, but that's kind of like what I was told after the fact.
Chris, congratulations. This is your first time making it past the semifinals. How do you balance celebrating this achievement with preparing for your first PFL championship?
Yeah, it's the first time. Third time was a charm, but there's really not going to be too much celebrating. We got another fight in 8 weeks, and we're going to fly back home. We're going to spend the weekend with my family and with my team, and then I'll be back in the gym on Monday. I'm completely committed to, like I said in my interviews, it's not just the money, it's the title, it's my legacy, and I'm out to prove that I'm one of the best featherweights in the world, and that's what I'm focused on.
And Lauren, you mentioned Clarissa was going to be headlining the October championship. What differences can we expect to see from her in October versus what she did in her first PFL fight?
You know, thanks for the question. You know, I'm not really sure, but I can tell you that, you know, Clarissa Shields is an icon. You know, she transcends sports. You know, she just had a street named after her in Flint, Michigan, and what she's trying to accomplish is amazing. What she's already accomplished: 2-time Olympic gold medalist, multi-time boxing world champion, and now she's trying to become a champion in you know, what I believe and what most people I think believe at this point, in the toughest MMA organization out there. It's truly remarkable, and I know she's, eyeing to get into the 2022 season. She has to show up for that. So, it'll be very interesting to see her here on October 27th, and I know the world's looking forward to it.
Harry Mack from the Bookie's Basement. My first question is for Martine. I'm not sure if anybody showed it to you backstage or anything like that, but right after your fight, Chris Camozzi actually tweeted that he's under the impression that Cesar came into the fight with the injury and kind of just showed up to collect his show monies. Do you kind of agree with that assessment?
If he didn't come in with the injury, who can claim him?
Fair enough. And for Chris, all season it kind of felt like the fight everyone was talking about as far as the featherweight belt was going to be, Movlid and Brendan or Movlid and Bubba, and yet here are you and Movlid. So, how does it feel to kind of buck the narrative there and, create your own story?
Yeah, the first round went down, and I could hear Bubba and Brandon just jawing to each other about how it was really just the two of them in this weight class. And I know that Movlid and I are tough as nails, and I was kind of looking at them sideways. And sure enough, look who's here. It's the two of us, not the ones who ran their mouth the most. So, you get what you get.
Something's happened to the mic.
Well, she's only a 7-year-old little girl right now, but I can tell you that she's in the gym with her dad all the time. I try to gently introduce her to this sport, and I bring her to Long Island MMA in Farmingdale, and I bring her to our location that we own together in Islip, and I let her just naturally get an understanding for all of MMA, because I feel that MMA makes every person better. And it's not that I want her to fight or anything like that necessarily, although she is getting good at an early age, but I want to teach her to be able to be tough when times are tough. And I hope that, she sees that, and that I'm setting a good example for her. I'm sorry, you said I previously, what?
Made the finals at 55. Yeah.
Well, I made the semifinals twice at 55, but the difference is, like I said in the presser, is pain makes you grow. And sometimes I've learned in this sport that it's a business, and I've always been fairly successful, but there's been times where I've experienced a lot of rejection, and it hurts. And that has led me to be the competitor that I am now. And I think that it's those things in life that make you a champion, and that make you either grow or fold. And I'm growing, and I'm proud of that. Well, I mean, Dwayne has accomplished some amazing things, and I'm proud to share a last name with him. But yeah, we're going to look to bring it home. The Wades are going to bring it home.
That PFL produces.
Yeah, can you repeat? Sorry.
You turned another page in your career here at PFL. Can you speak to the opportunity they provide to fighters?
Man, it's just great. I just talked to Ray. You know how great I am for being fighting on the PFL. It's a great event. and he's just getting better every day. At least it's what I see, you know. And I think it's gonna get better and better. You know, a lot of great fighters here. You know, tough guys, good fights here. Man, it's just great, you know, to be part of that.
Thank you, and good luck in the finals, my man. For Movlid, you were able to dominate on the ground just like your finals opponent, Chris Wade. What will the advantage for your Dagestani wrestler be against his All-American wrestling?
Мавлид, вопрос вам. Вы так же, как и Крис, хорошо в борьбе себя показали. Как вы думаете, в чем заключается разница подхода дагестанского к борьбе и, может быть, американского подхода? Есть ли какая-то разница, которую вы определенно видите?
Американцы знают разницу между дагестанской борьбой и американской. На Олимпиаде посмотри, сколько это медалей золотых у наших ребят, а сколько у американцев. С Крисом наша команда уже сталкивалась дважды. Ислам Махачу и Рустам Хабилов. Кто смотрел эти бои, тоже увидели разницу.
It's not really about me. American audience and American fighters, they do know the difference between the Dagestani wrestling and American wrestling. You know, we've all seen fights. I know that Chris is also a great wrestler. We've seen the fights. And again, it's just different schools, and we're going to just keep doing our job.
Last question. My question is for Ray, and I'm a loud Italian, so you probably would have been able to hear me without the mic anyway. But you have arguably the biggest name in women's mixed martial arts right now at the 155-pound division. You have Clarissa Shields, who is going to be headlining on October 27th. But there's another big name in women's mixed martial arts who's been very vocal about the fighters in your division. What are the chances that we see Chris Cyborg take on either Clarissa Shields and or Kayla Harrison next year in a PFL cage?
Oh, we would love for that to happen. But, you know, that takes, I'm not 100% sure what that situation is or what her contractual situation is. But, yeah, whenever she becomes a free agent, we would love to have her.
Would she be fighting at 145, or do you think she would go up to 155 to take on Kayla?
I believe the last press conference we had, somebody whispered, or somebody said that to Kayla that she can make 155. So I'd assume it's going to be 155.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, to everybody, thank you again. To everybody around the world, thank you for tuning in. Love you. And we'll see you on October 27th for the championship. Thank you.